Well,
But
remember I said there's an 1800%, there's 1800% more paper in the registered category. So that it's very confusing for most people. There are bars, all the bars held in the COMEX vaults. There's two categories. There's eligible and there's registered. Eligible means, yeah, they could be offered because they're COMEX approved, but they are held in strong hands. Like, let's say you have an account at CNT, which is in Bridgewater, Massachusetts, or one of the Brinks facilities that is considered a COMEX depository, and it's in your name or in your corporate name, Silver Slayer, Enterprises, and you have 10 1,000-ounce bars. That's eligible. It ain't going anywhere. You have a
right,
warrant. They're yours. They're not going anywhere. They belong to you, or an ETF, or a trust, or a family office, or whatever. Those are eligible. Those are bars that are inside the vaults that belong to people but are not for sale. Quite frankly, those people should get their bars out of those types of facilities. The Brinks facilities that I work with, by and large, are not the COMEX depositories, but the depositories that are Brinks, or excuse me, that are COMEX approved depositories, you have to think twice. This big money, are they leaving it in there for a reason? Why not pull it off? Maybe this is why you're seeing such a mass exodus by the smart money off of these exchanges, record deliveries that we've never seen before, because they know something is coming. So eligible are bars that are there, but they're not for sale.
right.
Registered are the bars that are for sale. So take that out of the equation. If you want to talk about the eligible bars, that's all of it, all of the silver combined. The open interest now equals 226% of all the vaulted silver at the COMEX. So there are 226% more paper contracts than all of the silver that is there. So what that basically means that 1 out of every 226 people would get their bars if everyone who had a contract stood for delivery. Is that ample? Hell no, it ain't ample. And not only that, of that silver, most of it is not for sale. 1,800% more paper contracts than the bars that are available for delivery. Is that ample? No, it ain't. And so, these are people who are naive. These are people who believe the manipulation, and I can't blame them, because the price it does a hell of a job on creating a perception of reality. It's a wrong perception, but people need to understand that the biggest money in the world, they misdirect through price, through rhetoric. They don't want to be crowded out of their trade. And I think if you have the ability to do it, do it. If you're at that level, and that's exactly what they do. They misdirect. They don't want people to know what they're doing. In any game you've ever played, the whole object is to misdirect your opponent. Well, that's what they're doing at the highest levels.
Yeah, I actually just made a video on this guy who tried to take his silver out, and it took six weeks longer, and and they would give him, he says, dribs and drabs, and he had to complain, yell at the people to finally get all of it out. He said it was a nightmare just to recover his silver.
I believe it.
And like you were saying, the 226, that's what I use, 250. That's what I've heard. But regardless, every ounce of silver you hold in your hand, 250 other people theoretically own the same ounce, digitally.
That's called rehypothecation, and that's exactly right. And that's how they do it. And that's like a Ponzi scheme. When the whole premise of the Ponzi scheme is that everyone doesn't rush to the exit doors at once. So you have to ask yourself, why would it be that as the price has been coming down, that you're seeing record deliveries? Is it to not cause attention? Because if the price was screaming higher and you saw record deliveries off the exchanges, wouldn't that say a little bit more? And it allows people to, I think, or big money, to, under the cover of manipulation, under the cover of falling prices, reposition and remove counterparty risk. And it's happening. So when you talk about how it affects this industry, I've never seen anything like it. But again, you have the rest of the world that is experiencing the same thing. Look what happened in the UK. Their bond market just about blew up. They had to come in, the Bank of England, and do QE again and bail out the bond market. Well, that's not too far off from where we are right now. And you have Janet Yellen, this genius, talking about selling short-term treasuries to buy the back end of the bond market where there's no liquidity, because who wants to buy a 30-year bond earning 3% with 9% inflation, which is understated by half? Nobody but the Fed. It's not China. We've pissed them off, and they've sold over 150 billion in bonds over the last 7 months. Japan's not, Russia's not, Saudi Arabia is not. We just threatened Saudi Arabia with moving all of our Patriot missile battery defense system from Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates because we're mad that they won't produce any more oil for us into the midterms. And that's an act of aggression. It's about the dumbest thing our politicians could ever do, because as we've talked about before, what makes the dollar the world reserve currency? The protection of the Saudi kingdom and OPEC backing or accepting only dollars for their oil. That's coming to an abrupt end. All of these things are speeding up. And the moves by our politicians, the moves by the biggest money in the world, closest to the information, betrays the price, betrays the rhetoric. If price was that determinant of value, then who the hell and why the hell is everything disappearing from the top on down? And the people that have the wherewithal to bleed it from the top, these are the most sophisticated, well-funded, well-informed traders on the planet. These are people that don't have to wait months to get dribs and drabs. These are people that in one day last week can take 5% of all the good delivery gold bars off the COMEX. 5% of 100-ounce bars gone. Where 1 month ago, one day, 45% of all the kilo bars on COMEX, 25 million ounces of gold was taken off the exchange in one day. The mini contract bars, one day. Who's got that kind of bread to buy 25 million ounces of gold? And where did it go? If it's leaving COMEX, where is it going? This is what I need people to think about. It's not bullshit. This is real, and it's happening. And price is a tool of misdirection. You will wake up one day and it will all be changed. The switch will be flipped. The prices will go up. There'll be chaos in the markets, and all the availability will be gone. But the big money, who under the cover of darkness and manipulation secured their product, took it out of harm's way, put it in their back pocket off the exchanges, no counterparty risk, will be sitting there with a smile saying, good thing we did it before it became obvious. That's what's happening. And if people don't see that, they're not paying close enough attention. And that's what my mission has been in talking about the BRICS nations, of talking about de-dollarization, talking about gold as a tier one asset, talking about the exchanges losing all their metal in ways that we've never seen before, ever, where we used to see, I don't know, 2%, 5% of contracts stand for delivery, not what they are right now, where in 1 year you're seeing a decade's worth of deliveries off the COMEX and massive deliveries off of what's called exchange for physical off the off the London Metals Exchange, to where the supplies are at their lowest level ever. And so when you talk about what that really means, in 1 month, the London Metals Exchange delivered 45,166,000 ounces. That's more than is backing the entire price-setting mechanism of the world by 8 million ounces. What happens if they decide to take delivery of 38 million ounces? Bang, gone, nothing. Now what are they going to do? Are they going to make everyone who has eligible bars turn them into registered? Don't know. But all I can tell you is that we are in uncharted territory right now, where price is misdirecting people's perception of what gold and silver really are.
Yeah, that's man, it's I call it like validation. Like they need validation that the price can go higher before they start buying. It's supposed to be buy low, sell high. Most people buy high, hope it goes higher, or buy high, sell low, and panic selling. But yeah, it's crazy. Like when silver was $11 in March of 2020, I was telling people more than ever to buy silver. And if silver was going to 30 or 40, those people would have been buying it up like hotcakes. But that's
why there's a whole school of investment theory called wave theory, Elliott wave, Kondratiev wave. what those waves are measuring human emotion. And the emotion of fear and greed are very powerful. Nothing more powerful than fear. And so when the price is going up after it's been validated, it's too late to really make profit, but everyone wants a piece of it. And when the world is collapsing and you're scared, you want to protect your ass, well, that's when you're really motivated. Well, this is what insurance is about. You don't, as you're getting into a car accident, as you're slamming on your brakes, speed dial your insurance agent. Yeah, sign me up for that policy. Or when you come home after paying your homeowners, you don't say, damn it, my house didn't burn down today and I just paid my homeowners. This is what insurance is. Well, there's insurance against the chaos that is this world we live in right now, and against the currencies that are being destroyed, and against whatever is coming. That's what this is. It's wealth, and it's also insurance, but it has to be done proactively. And if you're buying it to get rich, you're missing the whole idea here. You're not buying it to get wealthy. It is wealth. And if you own enough of it, you will be wealthy. You don't buy it to become wealthy. You buy it because it is wealth that has outlived every problem this world has ever seen, from German hyperinflation to the Great Depression, 2 world wars, and every pandemic. I say that all the time, but I say it so people understand why you're buying gold and silver. You're buying it because it's wealth, and you're buying it because we are in the 9th inning of a ball game that was the Keynesian Western system, and it's coming to an end. And you can see by 80 to 85% of the world forming a coalition around the globe, and the United States is not part of it. And when you see Saudi Arabia, we've been talking about my thesis that I've been talking about on Kiyosaki. I talked about it with you and Jay Martin. For 2 years, I've been saying this. And I said Saudi Arabia is going to join BRICS. They just last week told at a conference, the world, they are joining BRICS. This was validated by the Royal Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and by the President of South Africa last week. They're joining BRICS. They're moving away from the West. Every one of the OPEC producing countries are on the Belt Road. We are going to lose the petrol reserve standard. We are going to lose the solo world reserve currency. The BRICS nations said they are going to issue a new world reserve currency, and they want it to challenge the dollar. They are going to issue the Moscow metals exchange, which will properly value metals, as they say, to remove the manipulation from the COMEX and the London Metals Exchange. The chessboard is forming. And if you don't see the pieces that are in place, just about ready to call check, you're going to wish you did. And you're going to wish that you just took a little bit of money and put it into gold and silver now, when you need to now, because even though the price isn't doing what all of us think it should be doing, the biggest money in the world is using that reality that they've created through manipulation of contracts, where there can be 1,800% more contracts than there are bars to be delivered. That's how they create the reality, through manipulation using levered futures contracts to create a perception of reality that allows them to drain the exchanges and reposition and de-dollarize. The big money's doing that. You don't see that out there, people. You're going to be left in the cold. And as Rick Rule, my friend, always talks about, if you take the allocation of metals from the Harvard Endowment Fund down to Joe Sixpack, in the entire United States, it's less than 0.5%. And if it's this hard to get right now, what happens if, say, 3% allocation, where just everyone has of all of their assets, 3% in gold and silver? That's not too much to ask. If you have $100, $3 in silver, you got 1,000, $30 in silver. Is that too much? No, it's not. 1 ounce of silver if you have $1,000 to your name. If that were the case across the entire US, that's a 6-fold increase in demand, and there would be nothing left by tomorrow morning. So I think people need to wake up, and it's getting to be the 12th hour, and you can see this by the massive drawdowns of supply off of the biggest exchanges in the world.
Yeah, wow. I think so this happened, this was similar to, not identical, but when the Hunt brothers did that on the COMEX, they bought all those turned into physical delivery, and obviously there wasn't enough, so it had been exposed. Silver Rule 7, when they basically banned silver on the COMEX, you couldn't buy it. Do you think the government would try to do something like that again if things did start to,
Yeah, because what is the COMEX? The COMEX are run by the banks. The banks will not eat themselves. So yes, This is another reason why I believe you're seeing massive withdrawals. The smart money is the first one out the exit. So what I have right here, this is President Roosevelt. I know you can't see the reflection, but, and that's the executive order he used to
6102.
confiscate gold.
Yeah.
So the
That's
big
awesome.
money,
You have that? Wow.
yeah, we put these pieces together. We
That
made
is
them
awesome.
$20 gold certificate and a $20 gold coin, and we
Uh,
made those several years ago. But the
That is
big money,
awesome.
the smart money, they shipped their gold to safe deposit boxes in Europe months before gold was confiscated. They knew, you know, their friends told them, and they told their friends, and they told their friends. And, you know, if I'm a big government official and you're my best friend since high school, I'm going to give you a call and say, hey, man, you might just want to send your stuff away, or you might just want to, you know, take delivery of those contracts you have. And that's what you're seeing happen. The big money is front running what's coming. So if that's the type of situation where, if we're this close to that type of situation where the world realizes there's 1,800% more paper than there are bars to deliver and stand for delivery, they're going to say, no, it's going to be cash settlement. This is, you know, or they'll do something like the London Metals Exchange did on nickel. They'll just invalidate the trade. And that invalidates the legitimacy of the entire exchange. That is the same thing as a forfeiture, or as a you know, just being exposed as a scam. So maybe that's why you're seeing all of this metal being pulled off of the LME and off of the COMEX before it happens. And if it's that hard to get product at all the world's refineries and all the world's mints at the same time, everything's being bled down from the top on down, and the price has been horseshit, what does that tell you? Price is a tool of misdirection, and the biggest money in the world is using it to their advantage, not only to accumulate, but to remove counterparty risk before that event happens. And they most certainly will call force majeure before the whole exchange blows up. Sorry, cash settlement for you. All the other bigwigs that got their silver, well, they were early enough. The rest of us, you get cash. Well, at that point, the exchange is invalidated as legitimate and is branded illegitimate at that point.
Yeah, I think it's gonna that story that I covered the other day, I kept thinking, like, I feel like this is the start, and I'm going to start covering more and more of these stories. People having trouble retrieving their silver, you know, or taking longer and longer, or who knows, even, you know, request denied, something along those lines. I mean, it wouldn't be too crazy. And even the article was saying, you know, that all the signs added up, and when you see this, it could be, you know, maybe there's a lack of, you know, whatever happened, but the guy had to literally yell at the people for him to get his own silver. You know, that speaks for itself.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And you'll see more of that.
Yeah, that's what I think it's going to start happening more and more.